In the quiet town of Fayetteville, West Virginia, Christmas Eve of 1945 was supposed to be a night of joy for the Sodder family. George and Jennie Sodder, Italian immigrants, had built a life for themselves and their 10 children. But what unfolded that night became one of the most haunting, unsolved mysteries in American history: the disappearance of 5 of their children, a case that remains unsolved even after 80 years. The Sodders never rebuilt the house, instead converting the site into a memorial garden to the lost children. In the 1950s, as they came to doubt that the children had perished, the family put up a billboard at the site along State Route 16 with pictures of the 5, offering a reward for information that would bring closure to the case. It remained standing until shortly after Jennie Sodder's death in 1989. In support of their belief that the children survived, the Sodders had pointed to a number of unusual circumstances before and during the fire. George disputed the Fayetteville Fire Department's finding that the blaze was electrical in origin, noting that he had recently had the house rewired and inspected. George and his wife suspected arson, leading to theories that the children had been taken by the Sicilian mafia, perhaps in retaliation for George's outspoken criticism of the fascist government of his native Italy. State and federal efforts to investigate the case further in the early 1950s yielded no new information. The family did, however, later receive what may have been a picture of one of the boys as an adult during the 1960s. Their last surviving daughter, Sylvia, along with their grandchildren, continued to publicize the case in the 21st century in the media and online. George Sodder was born with the name Giorgio Soddu in Tula, Sardinia, Italy, in 1895. He immigrated to the United States 13 years later, with an older brother who went back home as soon as both boys had cleared customs at Ellis Island. For the rest of his life, George, as he came to be known, would not talk much about why he had left his homeland. Sodder eventually found work on the railroads in Pennsylvania, carrying water and other supplies to workers. After a few years, he took more permanent work as a driver in Smithers, West Virginia. He then started his own trucking company, initially hauling fill dirt to construction sites and later hauling coal mined in the region. Jennie Cipriani, a storekeeper's daughter in Smithers who had also emigrated from Italy in her childhood, married George in 1922. The Sodders settled outside nearby Fayetteville, which had a large population of Italian immigrants, in a 2-story timber frame house 2 miles, 3.2 kilometers, north of town. In 1923, they had the first of their 10 children. George's business prospered, and they became one of the most respected middle-class families around, in the words of one local official. However, George had strong opinions about many subjects and was not shy about expressing them, sometimes alienating people. In particular, his strident opposition to Italian dictator Benito Mussolini had led to some strong arguments with other members of the immigrant community. The last of the Sodder children, Sylvia, was born in 1942. By then, their second oldest son, Joe, 17, had left home to serve in the military during World War II. The following year, Mussolini was deposed and executed. However, George's criticism of the late dictator had left some hard feelings. In October 1945, a visiting life insurance salesman, after being rebuffed, warned George that his house would go up in smoke, and your children are going to be destroyed, attributing this all to the dirty remarks you have been making about Mussolini. Another visitor to the house, ostensibly seeking work, took the occasion to go around to the back and warn George that a pair of fuse boxes would cause a fire someday. George was puzzled by the observation. According to accounts of the night of the fire, at around 1 a.m., Jennie heard something hit the roof and roll off. Half an hour later, she woke again, smelling smoke, and discovered George's office was on fire. She woke George, who in turn woke the older sons. George, Jennie, and 4 children, Marion, Sylvia, John, and George Jr., escaped the house. They called out to the children upstairs but received no response. The staircase was already engulfed in flames, making it impossible to reach them. Helplessly, they watched as the house burned to the ground within 45 minutes. Firefighters searched the ashes but found no bones. Another account claimed that some bones and organs were found but not reported to the family. Modern experts have said the search was very cursory. Nevertheless, Fire Chief Maurice believed the blaze had been so intense that the children's bodies were completely incinerated. Even after official investigations ended, the Sodder family did not give up hope. They printed flyers with the children's pictures and offered a reward for information. In 1952, they erected another billboard at the site of the house, which later became a landmark in Fayetteville. Their efforts led to new claims of sightings. Ida Crutchfield, a hotel owner in Charleston, West Virginia, said she had seen the children about a week after the fire, accompanied by 2 men and 2 women. However, investigators did not find her account credible. In 1967, George traveled to Houston to pursue another lead. A woman claimed that Lewis had revealed his true identity to her one night while drunk, and that Lewis and Maurice were living somewhere in Texas. But when police located the men she identified, they denied being the missing sons. The following year, George told the Charleston Gazette-Mail that the lack of information was like hitting a rock wall. Still, he vowed to continue. "Time is running out for us," he said. "But we only want to know." In the 21st century, the family's efforts have come to include online forums like websleuths.com in addition to media coverage. The increase in the latter has led some who have examined the case to believe that the children did, in fact, die in 1945. George Bragg, a local author who wrote about the case in his 2012 book West Virginia's Unsolved Murders, believes that John was telling the truth in his original account, when he said he tried to physically awaken his siblings before fleeing the house. He allows that conclusion may still not be correct. Logic tells you they probably did burn up in the fire, but you can't always go by logic. However, she said, there is enough genuine weirdness about this whole thing that if someday it is learned that the children did not die in the fire, I won't be shocked. If they did die in the fire, we want to be convinced. Otherwise, we want to know what happened to them. George Sodder died in 1969. After George's death, Jennie and her surviving children continued to search for answers. Jennie lived the rest of her life in mourning, wearing black and tending the garden at the site of the destroyed house. In 1989, after her death, the family finally took down the old billboard. The Sodder children's disappearance remains one of America's greatest unsolved mysteries. Were they victims of a fire or of something far darker? 80 years later, the truth is still hidden. What do you believe happened to the Sodder children? Share your theories in the comments and subscribe for more deep dives into history's darkest mysteries.